going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about Fallout. So let's get into that. Now, Fallout is Amazon Prime's newest TV show based off of the video game Fallout, following a Vault Dweller, a ghoul, as well as a Brotherhood of the Knights. Now, I just finished watching season 1 of Fallout, and I can say that I am genuinely surprised on how much I enjoyed this. I wasn't skeptical about the Fallout show. I enjoy the video games. I haven't played all of them, but I do enjoy the ones that I have played. And when they announced that Fallout was going to be coming out as a TV show, I was definitely intrigued. I was very interested, and I was there on day one, and I was able to just finish the episodes, all 8 episodes today, and finish season 1 so I can give you my thoughts. But before I give you my thoughts, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave your comments in the comment section down below about what you thought about Fallout. Are you guys fans of the Fallout games? Were you guys a fan of the series? Are you skipping it all completely? Have no faith in another video game adaptation? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review. Now, starting off with the positives, I thoroughly enjoyed the world building that they did here. Of course, we have a whole arsenal of video games to kind of build off of what the Fallout series is about. You know, what kind of creatures are there, what kind of factions, the way Vault life is, the way the life on the surface world is. There's a lot of things to already kind of build upon. But if you've never played the Fallout games before, this does a decent job of trying to explore and explaining kind of what happened in the video games in a adaptation. And the cool thing about this is that it takes its own approach. With the Fallout games, there's not really a central storyline from what I remember. Nothing that really drives a huge plot. So they could have really done anything with this show. And I think they went in a very interesting and fun idea. They didn't just go for crazy, you know, big bugs and robots and all this different kind of stuff. They went very deep on a lot of different characters and their stories and why they're here, and exploring different kind of sinister stuff going on within the vaults, within the surface world, you know, politically and all that kind of stuff. So this definitely delved a lot deeper than what I thought it was going to, and I thoroughly enjoyed how far into the story, how much depth they gave it. I also really enjoyed all the costume design. This definitely looks like a Fallout game. There is certain aspects of it where you can definitely tell they use a little bit too much CGI. Like there's some like the aging that looks terrible. There's some like kind of bugs and monsters that don't look that great all the time. There's certain shots that don't look that great, but overall, I think the makeup, the costume design, the set designs were all extremely awesome. Very beautiful shots, very crazy landscape that they build here to make this look like a fallen Los Angeles, a fallen California. And even within the vaults, they made it look very cool, definitely reminiscent of the video games. And you definitely believe that these people are underground in the vaults, even with kind of all the designs and how they use like projectors to make it look like it's outside, and all the different houses they use, their actual like vault suits and everything. And you know, you have your pit boys and stuff like that. So everything on the costume design, I think, did very well. All the makeup design was really awesome. A lot of the character designs, even some of the monster designs, or like giant bugs, I think did really awesome. There was this one scene with like a mutant bear. I thought that looked freaking insane, super awesome. So I really enjoyed all the different costume designs, all the different set designs, all the makeup effects, all the visual effects. I think they did an overall really excellent job with this show. And I also enjoyed most of the characters. I think our main protagonist here, Lucy, does an amazing job playing this kind of vault dweller who is very naive, very sheltered, of course, with her being a vault dweller and her having to go out to help her father, who was kidnapped, from her vault, and experience surface life for the first time ever, and how everybody is so much different than what vault life is, where in the vault it seemed like everything was so happy and jolly and nothing can go wrong. They were so safe, and then now she has to actually defend herself, have to learn how to survive, and it goes through a lot of hardship to get to this final goal that ultimately it's such a crazy ending. And her story arc of growing is insane, even though by the end of it she still seems a little naive, but she's experienced so much that she can now kind of hold her own in this surface world that she never knew before. I also think the ghoul is probably the best character in this entire series. When he first was introduced in like episode 2 or so, I thought he was just going to be kind of like an antagonist, a villain they have to kind of get past. I didn't expect them to go so deep into his story. I absolutely loved how much his story went into in depth. He definitely faced probably the most tragedy because of this nuclear war, because of Vault-Tec and all this kind of stuff. His story was so compelling. I absolutely love this character. Even though he at first seems to be like the villain, you kind of empathize with him the most out of any of the characters here. So I thoroughly enjoyed his character, and I'm really excited to see what they do with him in the future now that they kind of set up already a season two, and I'm sure this is going to get a season two. People seem to absolutely love this series so far already, and I'm excited the way it's kind of going. I think this season did a very good job of having its own kind of storyline, definitely giving it a sort of finish to this section of the story, while obviously setting up some more story towards the later seasons. And I really enjoyed most of the people's story arcs, most of the people's journeys that they kind of go through to get to this end point. And I think Lucy and the Ghoul have two of the most compelling characters and most compelling background stories out of anybody in this entire series. I also really enjoyed that we're getting a little bit more information about Vault-Tec and their kind of involvement in the war, and all the different kind of politics that they were trying to follow to make money and capitalize on this vault technology and all that kind of stuff, and learning about kind of all their different like reactors and how they keep power and all the different things that are going on within the Vault-Tec company, and even like a lot of the stuff, which is crazy. Probably the most interesting things beyond some of the background stories of the characters is how sinister the vaults are. Everything on the front page looks, awesome, safe, cool, fun, happy. But when you start delving deeper into what's really going on in these vaults, it's so sinister. And each individual vault has its own thing that just kind of makes your jaw drop, and you can't believe that things like this are happening. But at the same time, when you keep people in a certain area for so long, eventually things are going to start happening and start transpiring into something that is not normal and very sinister and very evil in kind of what they are trying to achieve. And you go through a whole roller coaster with all the Vault-Tec stuff and what they're doing on the surface world and how their involvement with the war is. It's such a crazy storyline, something that is so interesting, and I can't wait for them to expand it more, because that seems like what we're going to be doing hopefully in season 2, is expanding more of how this all really started and the creators of Vault-Tec. I also thought there was a lot of cool action sequences here, with gunplay, with fighting, with explosions. It just was a fun, action-packed movie show when it had to be, and a very dramatic and serious tone drama when it had to be as well. So it definitely did a pretty good balance, while also throwing some pretty good comedy in there. I think Maximus, we'll get a little bit more later to him in the cons, but the one thing I really enjoyed about Maximus' character, which he's like a brotherhood kind of squire that's inspiring to be a knight, but he goes through his own kind of roller coaster as well. He definitely brings a lot of the comedic relief just of the way his demeanor was. Some of it was really funny, where it gave you a chuckle. Some of it was not so funny, which like I said, I'll get more into in the cons. But I think he brought a lot of comedic relief, just the way his demeanor was, the way he was acting, the way he talks, his kind of line delivery. Similarly with Lucy as well, because she's so naive. She definitely brings a lot of the comedy aspects that I thoroughly enjoyed. I also really enjoyed how bloody a lot of the scenes were. There were so many kills and action sequences and some slaughter that was going on that was very bloody, very gory. There was some CGI blood, some CGI gore that didn't look that great, but for the most part, especially like in the first episode, there was just a bloodbath that I thought was awesome. I thought the makeup effects of the gore looked really good. So I thoroughly enjoyed how gory it went and didn't kind of go too much on the PG side and kind of keep that away. They definitely went for it, and I thought did an awesome job on how gory and bloody some of the scenes were. And lastly, I really enjoyed the soundtrack and the score here. I'm not sure if these are like original songs from Fallout or they're just songs from like back in the 50s and stuff, but I really enjoy the song choices that they did here, because Fallout's always been kind of that like that old school look, but having the futuresque vibe to a lot of different things, and having that old school like 50s music introduced into this whole future, I think definitely fits with the visuals and kind of what every all the technology is at this current state. So I really enjoyed the soundtrack and how it kind of amplifies what you're watching on screen. So I thoroughly enjoy the soundtrack as well. Now that being said, let's go ahead and get into the cons for me. And let's start off with Maximus. So Maximus' character is kind of strange for me. I don't dislike his character, but I also don't really like him at the same time. And it's not that I don't like him because of what his character does in the story or who his character is. It's more so that he seems to be the most bland character out of all of them. His demeanor, the way he's acting, the way he responds to things, it just doesn't seem normal. It feels a little awkward, like he's standing there smiling for whatever reason, and he's like staring off into the sky. People talk to him, and he like just looks like he didn't understand them. He's like staring into the blankness of space, and his demeanor just felt so off all the time. And not to mention too that his background story is probably the weakest out of all of our characters here. His background story kind of relies on the fact that he was part of this new age of the surface world and it got nuked again, and he was a survivor of it and saw a knight of the Brotherhood, and that's how he wanted to become a knight. And that's really as far as his backstory goes, is that he survived a nuclear blast and wants to become a knight to help people. And they use the same shot probably almost every other episode, if not every episode, for Maximus to kind of display some sort of emotion and motivation and a background story for him that doesn't delve really any deeper until the last episode where you gather a little bit more information, and even that doesn't feel significant enough for his character to motivate him to go forward and continue on in the path that he's going. So I don't dislike the character as a whole. I just think that he is the weakest in story arc and background and the reason for him to even be here in the first place. I think with him out of the picture, the story would have done just fine. There is some nice like romantic elements between him and Lucy that I do enjoy. I think it's nice for Lucy after kind of what happens in the first episode to have someone she can actually trust and like. But besides that, Maximus really doesn't give anything to the story, in my opinion. And the only thing I kind of touched on a little bit earlier is that there's just some effects, some CGI that doesn't really do so good. Like some de-aging that looks terrible, like completely terrible. They did some de-aging on Lucy's father, and while he's talking, his lips are not matching with what he's saying. Like it just doesn't look right. So there's some like CGI on the de-aging, some CGI on like some of the monsters and like the bigger bugs and stuff that just doesn't look that good. Even some like shots with like the helicopters from the Brotherhood that don't look that good. So there's some special effects that just, for a show that does so much well, and I'm not sure what the budget is on the show, but I'm sure it has a pretty decent budget from what all the set design and stuff that they have. It's crazy how some of these special effects just look awful and don't work at all, and definitely are not going to age well. There's special effects from 20 years ago that look better than some of the special effects here. So that's disappointing to see sometimes when you're watching a show that is very good. I thoroughly enjoy the show, and you get effects like that, CGI, the aging, that throws you off because it doesn't look good at all, doesn't look real, and so that's disappointing. But overall, I'm excited to see where season 2 brings us. I thoroughly enjoyed all of season 1. There were some complaints from like a Netflix person that they shouldn't have put all the episodes out at once. I like that they did that. I like binge watching the show. This show is one of those shows that I actually felt the want to continue pressing next episode. It's been a very long time that a show has done that for me, where I was wanting to watch the next episode. I wanted to binge it. So this show definitely did that for me. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm very excited for season 2. I'm excited for where the story is heading. It looks like it's heading in a very awesome, intense, cool action way. So I'm definitely excited for season 2. Let me know your guys' thoughts about season 1 of Fallout in the comment section down below. And again, if you guys like talking about things, movies, TV shows, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.